Okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us again tonight. It's been a real pleasure, and my thanks to the library and to all of you for being here. And I like to say that you are in the right place because with Zentangle there are no mistakes, only opportunities. Sometimes that gets a laugh, or at least that shakes things up and gets everyone to relax a little bit. So anyway, let me get this rolling here. Well, we've been doing a lot of fun stuff in the last few sessions, but if you this is your first time, I just make a few introductory remarks. The art form or that I'm going to teach or share with you tonight is this called Zentangle, and you can certainly find plenty of things online about it. But the gist is we follow a few simple, repetitive strokes, and then we have all these beautiful patterns and we put them together and whatever comes. And usually it's quite beautiful. And if it's not, you can do it again. So sometimes the hardest thing about Zentangle is just maybe you have an inner critic like I do, and it comes out sometimes. So if you can, just tell your inner critic to sit here on your shoulder and be quiet while you have fun, you'll relax and I hope enjoy the night. So I have a few things planned, a couple tangles, and anything is possible one stroke at a time. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to invite you to use your sketch pad, and then we'll get to one of the tiles that was in your kit. But I'm going to start out with my sketch pad, and I am also going to use just a pencil for right now, just a little warm up. Get this a little closer. So the tangle that we're going to practice tonight in warm up is a French, the French pronunciation. Now I taught Spanish for like almost 25 years. So printemps, I think I'm really bad at French, but it's something like that. It means spring in French. And the really neat thing is that it's just a spiral. So I'm going to start in the middle, and you can go counterclockwise or clockwise. It doesn't matter. And you just spiral until you're done. Whatever you're done, you're done. And you can do a tiny printemps, and you can do a giant printemps. And notice when I run into what's beside there, I don't draw over it. Rather, I just imagine, where would that line be visible again? Where would it come out? Where would it exit? And then I just turn and I continue making my line. So I would just invite you to play a little bit with this new tangle and just let yourself warm up a little bit. And sometimes I get a lot of feedback. People either seem to really like printemps or they really don't. And what I hear most is, I don't like the way my circles look. My orbs stink. So you're probably going to get a feel for what you think of printemps. But anyway, in the meantime, let's just do a little warm up. And again, if you run into one that's already down, just draw behind it and just put some down. Near, far, medium, large, super tiny. It doesn't really matter. And I notice that I always usually start and go in one direction. So I'm trying to say, okay, Stephanie, why don't you go in the other direction a few times? So if you things up, you can take your non-dominant hand and try printemps with that. I'm going to do that now, and you'll notice how my lines will be visibly different. So, okay, I'm going to take my left. But again, it's just a little warm up, getting the brain, both sides. We want help from left side and right side. So that creative juice keeps going. And I would just encourage you to do a few more. Don't necessarily stop to look at it too carefully at the moment. We're just warming up, just circles. And just a few more. And one of the main pillars of Zentangle is understanding that we have so much to be grateful for, gratitude. So as you're warming up, if anything comes to mind that you're grateful, just take a moment and think of that. I know I'm certainly grateful for what seems like no more winter. So I'm grateful to see the sun and for all the new things popping from the earth and all the birds that have been visiting the feeders, and I'm even noticing orioles, and probably some of you are as well. Some of the grosbeaks were back, and those were beautiful to see. So here's again, just a little smattering of this tangle we call Praeton, and the lines within the tangle don't necessarily, touch. They just simply spiral, spiral, spiral to whatever size you want. Now I'm going to show you one option that you can play around with at any time. I'm still using my pencil just because it's a little smoother and a little faster. Sometimes people do like Praeton where you give some weight to a line. So I took that one and I'm going to just give it a little bit of girth. I'm giving it some extra lead, in this case, some extra graphite, but it really adds a whole different dimension to the piece. And you can do this obviously anywhere, but you might say, oh, I like this. I have had people that find they warm up to Praeton a little bit when they add this. And I'm not sure why, but if you like it, you'll probably know why you like it. So again, this is just another option. I'm just thickening the original line. I just go back in and add a little more to that. Now I have my pencil mostly on the side here so I can move pretty quickly, but you can see it creates a neat effect. And it's a nice contrast with the light background and the dark graphite and the ink. And even if you were to do this with a white gel on black and do it with weighting this, it's pretty cool. So you might play around with that as well. So again, it's you don't have to do the whole piece. Sometimes people like to call these little Praeton snails. You don't have to do the whole snail. You could just do one part of it, for example, or you could do the innermost. Maybe you want to start with a dot. Sometimes I find that's very pleasing because it really anchors my eye. So lots and lots of possibilities, as you're finding with just about every tangle we do. That's where your artist, your creativity will come through as you become more confident. You know what's the next move, and then you feel free to explore. And from what you've been showing me, you've been doing just that, and that's such a beautiful gift to yourself. If you could look up, I want to show you one other thing with Praeton that sometimes folks like a little bit more. Sometimes, as I said, I get a lot of negative feedback about, I don't like my circles, and I get it. Sometimes doing it more in an oval shape, like a pear or a grape tomato, sometimes I find that catches on with people. So if you like that better, you could try that as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that you can that Praeton will morph into whatever type of spiral you want it to be. And I get it that a perfect circle that's why we call them orbs. But maybe for you, maybe this whole oval just comes more naturally, more like an egg shape. So again, please just don't feel limited to this orb and don't feel limited to frustrating yourself, but see what you do like. See what comes naturally to your pen stroke. And again, you can give weight to the ovals any place that you like. And it adds a neat dimension. And that dot in the middle might be a nice place to start if you're unsure. So anyway, a nice little warm-up way to play around with Préton. Préton is a nice way to fill in a lot of space. And let's see, when we did tipple, tipple can be used in this fashion to fill in space, and so can Préton. If you're looking to fill in a space, and if you're looking for a base to build something, that might be something to consider. So composition really doesn't matter, but just an idea for you to keep in the back of your mind. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to the second tangle, and I'll give you its name. We'll do a little introductory work and then get started on the tangle, or on the tile. This is called twile. Now I'm going to use a little thicker marker, so you can just stay with your pencil if you'd like, but I'm going to use the marker so you can see. I'm going to draw our typical 4 dots, and they're about the length of that cap of marker. And like we've done so often, I would invite you to connect the dots and just turn your paper if that feels best to you as you connect them. It's also kind of a nice way to just breathe. Inhale, exhale, relax your shoulders. You've got this. You can connect the dots. No worries. Now, in the center, sometimes people like to approach it like this. They like to put down 4 corner dots that are just inside and connect them. Or you can just make a square inside the square. So I'm connecting these 4 dots I put down inside the square, or just jump right in and make a box inside. And now I'm going to go back to my pencil. I'm just going to color this in. I just want this to be dark. And again, if you are saying, I'm getting kind of brave with Zentangle, I might like to try a white gel pen on black paper. That might be fun. And you can do just the opposite. With where we're making this dark, you would make it light. Okay, I'm going to have you take your marker now. Now, to do this, we're going to be doing this on a grid. And so each square will be done in the same way. And I want you to notice I'm going to use this flag. I'm going to use this flag term here in a moment. Okay, so what is she getting at? So what I'm doing is I'm going to start at this corner right up here, and I'm going to draw downward to the perimeter. And so I hope that it becomes visible that I have made a flag. So that's the relationship. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn my tile. I'm turning it to the right. I'm going to start in that upper right corner again now. And I'm going to draw toward me, and I'm going to create another flag. So I was here, upper right, and I came down. And then I'm going to rotate again. So my paper's moving to the right. I'm going to the center box to the upper right corner. And I'm going to draw from that upper right corner toward me to the perimeter. And I've created a third flag. And I've got one more flag to make. Perhaps you're seeing this. So I go up here to the upper right corner of the inside box. And I draw toward me to the edge. So I have 4 of these flags. And I'm going to pause momentarily because if anybody is confused or your lines don't look like mine, I want you to catch up. I want to pause and make sure you're on board. Okay, so now when we go to shade, it's going to be really cool. So when you add graphite, so what do I do for shading? Okay, in each of these squares, I think that you should shade, or an idea rather, would be to shade the short side. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. So the short side in here, there are going to be 4 of them. All right, so this is a short side. Now you don't have to circle yours, but I'm just going to circle it so you can see. Now I'm going to rotate my paper again, and it's right up here at the top of that flag. That's the short side. So I'm just going to identify these for you. And then I'll show you my suggestion for where to put a little graphite. So you've got the line, and you come down. So you find the short side, and on the downward, on the side toward you, you put a little graphite. And so on the short side, the one that's facing you, you put a little graphite. And again, you find that short side and you add a little bit of pencil right there. And voila. So go ahead, and when you get those 4 areas with a little graphite, go ahead and take your tortillon, the blending tool, and just move that a little bit so you can see. It's a really nice gradient. I just love it when this comes to life, because and once we get it on a grid and we have more than one, I think you'll really like it. It's almost like it's magic. It makes me excited. So I hope you get to feel that excitement too in your own work, because it's really beautiful. And it just kind of pops out, and it looks like a weave. So I will pause just momentarily again in case anyone wants to ask any questions. We're going good? Okay. All right. Now, I want to show you one option, everybody, that you can do with this. Do you see? Okay. Do you see how you can leave it as we did, or we can take another line and double that? So I'll just show you that on your sample, and you don't have to do it. For example, if you think, no, I like just what I did, by all means, leave it. But if you'd like maybe to play around with this double, I'll show you that next. It's really easy. If you want to put in the double line, let's see, I'm going to take my thick marker again here so you can see it. In each section now, where I have the arrow, that's where you go. You start at the short side again, and you draw from mid top to mid bottom. And again, that's only if you like that. Only if you like that. But I'll do all four because some of you will want to see it. So again, you identify each section where we have already with graphite, and you start in the middle and draw to the bottom. And I'll put up again so you can see the difference, because probably your notes are looking a little like, huh? So seeing it for yourself more clearly, you probably know, oh, I want to try that, or nah, I'll stick with the single. Well, with that said, I think we're ready I'm ready. Unless anybody has a question, be sure to ask at any time. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and take out a tile. And I'm going to go to my marker that you have in the pack, the 01, the Micron 01. And I'm going to place 4 dots now. It's going to be, the dots are going to be kind of, let's see, I want you to be able to see this. So I'm just going to take my pencil here quick. My dots are going to be about like that. So if I put the edge of my pen, you can see the cap of my pen a little longer than the cap of my pen. I guess there's a shadow there, but I think you can see them. Then when you're ready, go ahead. I'm going to use my marker and connect these 4 dots so I have a border. And you'll see my tile moving because I am turning it with each stroke to get this border. And no worries if it's not exactly in the middle. You can see mine clearly isn't, but that's okay. It's very forgiving, this tangle. Heck, most of Zentangle is very forgiving, or I probably wouldn't be doing it. When you're ready, ball, okay, at that top, where's the middle? Put a little mark, and directly below, put a little landmark, and let's connect the 2. And then I'm just turning it again, a half turn. I'm going to do the same thing because I want a grid of 4 boxes within the big. So I'm going to put a mark mid top and where I think is below and connect those. Now keep your eye on that dot at the bottom and you'll get there. So now we have set up the grid for twile. And if you like this, heck, you can do a whole page of this, and you can do it really tiny. You can do them very large. You know, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful tangle. And sometimes I just do the whole sheet of paper, like a 9 by 12 sheet of paper. I just do the whole thing in this because I love it so much. So, you know, we're limited on time, but you're not. So you do what you'd like. So the next step is to put the squares in the squares. And again, you can just decide for you. Do you want to just draw a box, or do you want to place 4 dots in each box and connect them? It's really up to you. I like to make the 4 dots and connect them. And then I'm going to use my marker and fill it in. So just go ahead and, relax your shoulders, relax your feet, and notice your breath. Wow, that feels nice. Just take a nice breath and enjoy. Put down your squares and enjoy coloring them in. You can't go wrong. You know the next move. There's a saying in Zentangle, when in doubt, aura. I also suggest to folks, if you are in doubt and you really like order, you like something on a grid, then I would say go to a grid and do something like this tangle, because sometimes that can be very relaxing. And then sometimes you start to play around and you make variations and you explore. And before you know it, you've created something even that you didn't know you could, and it's beautiful as well. So follow your liking, follow your interest, follow what sounds fun to you. And again, if you have hesitation but a grid feels safe, go for it. Do something on the grid. And for heaven's sakes, don't let me slow you down. If you are ahead and you're ready to make your flags, go for it. No worries, we'll get there. We should have no trouble finishing this. At least that's my plan. And in some classes I teach, the participants are quick to point out that, Stephanie, you've probably done this many times over what we have, so I get it. It might come rather quickly to me and not so much for you, so no worries. And I'm going to be excited to see anybody that wants to share at the end, and to see if anybody's done the single, who's done the single line with this tangle twile, or if anybody put in the double line. Now I'm looking, trying to get a gauge, but a lot of you, I don't, you're not on camera. So should I proceed, those of you that I can see, or should I wait a few more seconds? Go ahead, you think? Okay. All right, I'll do that. Thanks, Michelle. Whoops, I'm gonna go back here. So again, at any time, just if you have a question, raise your hand. And Angie, if I'm not looking, Angie's been great to let me know, hey, you got somebody who needs something. So you can jump in anytime with a question if you have it. So now I'm going to go back to making these flags, and I'm going to reference this again, because I'll start in the upper right corner of that interior square, and I will draw along the square and then off it to the corner. And I'll do that 4 times within each square. So I'm just going to start right here. And I'm just going to draw right along the side and off to the edge. And I've made the first flag. And then I'm going to rotate, quarter turn. And my marker goes in the upper right corner again. And I draw along the square and to me. And very quickly, this pattern begins to emerge. And I think you can see it. Here in the upper right corner, draw along the edge of the square and to the perimeter. And just continue to rotate your tile in a way that's comfortable for you, in the same way with your pen strokes. And you probably have working on a grid which direction you like to go. Do you like to, so you don't have to follow my lead, but I like to work with this one in the bottom right. So that's where I find myself working. So I'm going to begin again here. And upper right corner on this box, and I'm coming downward, and I've created a flag. And a quarter turn on the tile, and I just repeat that. And I hope you can start to relax a little, because this is just that repetition, the repetitive practice. You can find your breath, enjoy this beautiful thing you're creating. And this has, I really love the shading on this. It really comes to life, that dimension, and it looks like such a beautiful weave. Now, some people say to me, Stephanie, if I want to do the double line, if I want to do this line, can I put them in right now? I would say, sure. So I will put them in one of my boxes. I don't want to confuse people, but I'll put this in so that if you're doing that, it might give you a little reassurance that, yep, if I was doing this and I wanted to put in these doubles, I would do it right now. So I'll make one of my squares the double. And I'm ready to begin another one. So I'm in the bottom right quadrant, working in the upper right portion of that center square, making a flag. I hope this is going well for you. So certainly let me know if it's anything I can answer. But I think you're doing great. I hope you're feeling confident about that, and just enjoy that really nice feeling that accompanies that confidence. You can do it. Each stroke. Enjoy your breath. So I think for something fun, I'm going to add a double in this one that's directly opposite here, diagonally opposite. And again, I'm not exactly sure where you are. Should I wait or should I proceed with shading? Go ahead. Yeah, okay. So again, I'm going to reference the notes that I showed you with the first, the practice that we did. And in each of these long planks, you're going to identify that short side and put some graphite on the side that faces you. So I'll go to my piece now. So I'll make it a little closer here. There we go. A little closer for you to see. So I've identified this as one of the short sides, and I'm on the underside, the side that's closest to me. And that's where I add some graphite. So I like to work within each square on the grid. So I'm doing another quarter turn, and I find that short side on the underside of that line. I add the graphite. I add a little graphite. And you just proceed then, again, feeling confident, you've got this, it's going to be beautiful. And if you've done the double line, it's the same thing. You're going to look for the short side. And then on the side of that line that's closest to you, add some graphite. And we're going to make another turn. Just going to continue in that pattern. And I hope you're feeling that Zen flow. I hope you're relaxing and just letting that pencil move. Now, you don't have to get too worried about each particular line, because as you go along and you're persistent and you make your pen strokes, something beautiful is coming. Something beautiful is sure to come. And all of a sudden, it's just like magic. It's just like the spring. Eventually it comes, and it's beautiful. And by the way, I hope you have some place to display your work in your home. They make really tiny easels that accommodate this size of a canvas that we're working on. Or, if you have a magnet on your refrigerator, heck, put it up and show somebody. I mean, I think that's beautiful. That's just an expression of you. So I think that you should have it somewhere in your home to admire you. I was working with a teacher one time, and she told me, you should put your work up in your home, and you should put your work up, the work that you don't really care for. And her whole point was that I should learn to care for all parts of me and not just that what I think is the best. So I always remember her words and how gently she spoke them, but probably how much truth rang out in those remarks. So I do want you to admire your work and put it on display if you're so called. So I've got the graphite here, and I'm going to go ahead and just smooth it a little bit. And you start to notice that lighter gray moving away from that dark marker line. And again, just relax and invite the graphite, just smooth it in. Just provides a little shadow, but boy, is it effective. It's almost immediate. You notice it. And it's a beautiful weave. It looks like each of these portions is tucked one under the other. Like when you take a box, a cardboard box, and you can get the lid to tuck. If you can, I was never very patient with that. But anyway, it's something like that. These edges are tucked one under the other. And just a little shadow. This is nice. I hope you're enjoying yours. I think that I've referenced sometimes, maybe I have in the past, maybe I haven't, but there are some tangles that are just my favorites, and I refer to them as mac and cheese because, you know, I love mac and cheese. So I have some mac and cheese tangles, and this twile is definitely a mac and cheese, on the mac and cheese list. Well, I'm gonna pause for a few seconds, and then I'm going to give basically the next portion that will include using Préton. And I'll let anybody ask a question if you need be, or
Is there a special way to use this thing? Is it just a rub back and forth? Is it the
yeah.
tool?
Yeah, more or less, Michelle. I like to use it like I often use the, let's see here, often use the, you know how I often use the pencil on the side? I like to use this often on the side. And then sometimes this nib, it just gets rubbed down, right? I mean, and there's not a lot you can do except get a new one. But there is, oh, let's see. Well, I thought I had it. Here we go. If you are finding your nib is really getting pressed and there's not very much of a point, you can take a paper clip and take it apart and then just push it through there, and it'll push out a little bit and try to get, you know, it extends the life of them a little bit, ever so slightly. I mean, it's kind of a hack, but it works for a little bit. It looks like yours is kind of getting worn down a little. Yeah. So, but I would go with on the side if possible, Michelle. That's my tip.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, let's, I'm going to grab my 01 again, that marker that was in your pack. And I'm going to use 4 more dots. They are going to be fairly close to the corners, so I'm going to put a dot here and a dot here. So I've got one there and there. And then, you know, basically right there and there. So again, they're kind of tiny. And I'm just going to connect it. So I'm just basically, I'm making a big aura of this box in the center. So just connect your dots as best you can. You're just making a box around the existing box. So this is my plan. Now I have known folks to tell me, you ruined my piece. So if you feel really in love with this piece as it is, and you don't want to do this next part, don't do it by all means, especially if you didn't like this, okay? If you did not like Préton, you don't have to do this. You could just do something else. But this is where I'm going with it. And I'll show you a piece that I did with just, okay, I did black on white. So we've already done the center. We're not doing the center, but you can see how we're just going to take Préton and we're going to go around the edges. And I want you to notice this, that not all of these have to sit directly on the edge. And some of these are just going to be tucked behind, like the whole piece will not be showing. Notice it here. And I'll help you with with that layering basically, but to start out, I think you should decide for yourself, are you going to go with more of the round look? Or did you find the oval look more pleasing or easier? You know, I would decide what you want to go through, or maybe you want to just do whatever comes, whatever works. So don't get too excited about it or too worked up, but just have a little thought in mind. Okay, so to get some of this layering where one is behind the other, what I'd like you to do is put a couple on each side, but not touching one another. And I don't care the size. In fact, I would vary the size. So when you run into this frame, you see how I've come to this outer edge and I'm not done yet. Okay, so I want to continue it. I'm going to draw around that. I'm not going to draw on top of that line. I'm just going to continue the circle underneath. We call that drawing behind. And then I'm going to continue one more time around. And then I'm going to end right there. So I made that one really large and I'm going to vary them. And I'm just going to put down another one on this side and it's going to be, oh, it's going to be rather small. So again, just whatever comes, put down a few in different places, a couple on each side that aren't touching, and vary the size. And you could put down 2 or 3 on each side, but your initial pass, just, you don't have to get carried away with the layering. If you just put down some, we can come back and work with this. So even if you're not done, I'd like to show you what I'm going to do so that you get this idea. I see we have a few minutes left again, but it's okay. We're close enough that you'll get this.
I was just going to mention we're at 6:52.
All right. Thanks,
Okay,
Angie.
you're welcome.
Okay. So this is an example. I have one that I drew entirely and another one I drew entirely. And now I want to pop one behind it. Okay. It just means that I have to lift my pen when I come to these that I have drawn already. So let me start right here. I'm going to start in here. Let's see. I'm going to start way up here and I'm going to continue to circle. And when I run into that, I just stop. And I want to continue just like that. And if you could give me your eyes just one more time, do you see that space in here? It's a little space, but boy, I think that I love making that black. I love adding ink to that space where there's nothing. And it helps form the border. It helps frame it. So I would just invite you to approach the rest of your frame like this, and we'll just finish the class like this, and then we can do some shading when we meet next time. So I think just work on the rest of your Praeton, and we'll take a couple minutes at the end. People can show what you've done so far. You can ask questions if you need to, and we'll just do a little more shading with the edge when we meet again. And again, you don't have to work in any particular order. You can jump from side to side. It's just really whatever you like. And picking up your tile and holding it out, at arm's length. And just take a look. Let your piece speak to you. Let your work speak to you about what it needs, where. And all the while, something beautiful is in the works. It's just coming along. And you can get carried away like I'm doing. You can put a little tiny and you can stack them more. You can add weight to any of these. The sky's the limit. How fun is that? And one other thing about working on the grid first, it kind of helps you get into a rhythm, your pen strokes, gives some confidence. And then sometimes if the more organic, like Praeton, that require some orbs, sometimes it's just easier. You're more in the flow. And maybe you'll feel a little more whimsy or, less likely to critique your work so quickly and just go with it. So, find what works for you. So I think we have about 4 minutes left. I think I will stop talking here for a minute and just let anybody share their work or ask any questions. I just didn't want to overwhelm anybody, so
Stephanie, oh, sorry. I was just going to say, this is so much fun. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh,
I have
that's
a little,
fun.
I have my little guy here.
Oh yeah,
You
let's
can-
see it, Angie.
It's,
It's
oh, it
blurred.
might be blurred.
Oh wait, yeah, let's put
Let
you
me-
on. Yeah. Okay,
Is that-
try it.
Oh.
It comes and then it goes really quickly. Oh, there. Well,
Because I have the background blurred.
yeah,
Oh,
blurred. There.
there,
Oh.
1 second. Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
Oh, nice. Oh, how beautiful, Angie.
That was fun.
Great. I love it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
Could we see your white on black again? I'd like to just take a picture of that.
Oh, yeah, of
Oh, great,
course.
thank you.
Yeah. Here's this. Now, I'm not sure who was speaking, but if you were with us in April, we did this. It's called Hypnotic. So it's a grid and we just place a dot and then we make circles around it and stop at the edge. So So yeah, you could easily, so you've had both of these now and you could play. And then you notice on the edge, I use just a white charcoal pencil. So if you have just a white colored pencil, you could use on the black to give that cloud-like appearance. It's kind of fun.
Really
Yeah,
pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think some of you might be feeling confident enough to try that. So it's just, you know, the reverse. Anybody else?
I got carried away with file and I made more of them.
Oh, Michelle. Love it. Oh, I like how you did the every other. Yeah. Very beautiful. So you got carried away in a good way. Yay. How fun. That's great to see. Thanks, Michelle. Anyone else? Okay, Karen, do you want to share? You're muted, Karen, but go ahead. I'm going to put your, okay. Oh, yeah. And move it slightly back. Yeah. And oh, Karen, nice. That's so beautiful. Love it. Beautiful work, Karen. Thank you. So nice. Anyone else? Terry, do you want, I see you popping on. Do you want to share?
Alright. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Nice. Thanks for joining us tonight, Terry. Thanks for sharing too. Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Oh, great. Whoa. I get a little mixed up here. Anyone else want to share? I see Debbie. You guys are holding up. Okay. Up a little higher. Ooh, beautiful. Love that. That shading is so beautiful. Nice. Yeah, let's see yours, Amanda. Ooh, she's got the lines going. That has so much depth. Beautiful work. Really nice. Oh, great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing that. Love seeing it. Well, this was so much fun. Is anybody else on to share work? I don't want to overlook anybody. So thanks to the library, we have one more session in 2 weeks, everybody. So if you want to bring this along, and we'll just do a little shading around the edge, and then we'll try our hand at a few more tiles, a few more tangles. So can't wait. You can tell I love it. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you all really soon.